She blocked my number and left me silent while I was at work. 3 years later, she stood in my office begging for a way out of the life that had ruined her. Her note said, "Don't waste your time searching for someone better." Okay, folks, this occurred roughly 3 years ago. However, because karma is real and incredibly lovely, I'm finally ready to share this experience. Be advised that near the conclusion, this becomes quite intense. But believe me when I say that the conclusion is worth every syllable. I was a 28-year-old master electrician in Phoenix at the time. After leaving the service, I worked for a mid-sized electrical contractor named Desert Sun Electric for almost 8 years, earning a respectable salary of around $75,000 annually. The work was consistent, and I truly relished it. Solving electrical issues and watching systems come to life has a certain sense of fulfillment. Additionally, with all the new building and house remodeling taking place in Phoenix, skilled trades were flourishing. However, the true goal went well beyond simply being a permanent employee. For the last 3 years, I had been saving money to launch my own electrical contracting company. I was living much below my means and saving every spare penny I had. I drove my paid-off Ford and packed lunches every day while my coworkers bought new trucks and went on lavish vacations. See, I had discovered that the majority of Phoenix's electrical contractors were either little businesses owned by men who were excellent electricians but awful business people, or large corporations that charged exorbitant fees. For someone who was well-versed in the industry and knew how to manage a legitimate business, there was a sweet spot in the center. In order to buy a work vehicle, become bonded and insured, buy high-quality tools, and cover expenditures for the first year while developing a clientele, I had put up roughly $95,000. I had a straightforward plan. Pay attention to modest commercial jobs and household service calls. Build a reputation that will allow me to take on bigger projects and deliver top-notch work at reasonable costs. The calculations were flawless. I could begin working part-time while maintaining my day job, and if I had enough consistent clients, I could go full-time. I would be managing a team of 3 to 4 electricians and earning more than $200,000 a year in 5 years. I had already looked into all the licensing requirements and had a few possible clients lined up through my network. Sarah, my girlfriend, was a social media coordinator at Trendy Digital, a boutique marketing firm located downtown. I managed Facebook pages and posted Instagram stories for local companies, restaurants, salons, small retail stores, and the like, earning roughly $35,000 annually. It looked like a simple task, primarily simply photographing food and adding descriptions that highlight local flavors and real experiences. She would frequently gripe that her supervisor didn't value her original ideas and that she ought to be given more credit for her marketing acumen. We had been living together for about 3 years in my 2-bedroom home in the affluent Ahwatukee neighborhood, which I had purchased with a VA loan. It was mine, nothing special. 1,400 square feet, a tiny backyard, a 2-car garage that I had turned into an electrical project workshop, and, most importantly, no monthly rent payments depleting my savings. Sarah, a 26-year-old woman with long brown hair and a grin that could light up a room when she wanted to, was undoubtedly gorgeous. She looked sincere in her support of my high objectives and business plans when we initially started dating. When I started my business, she would even assist me in looking up equipment suppliers online and discuss using her agency to manage digital marketing. We would spend evenings reviewing company plans and talking about our future together, including potential family starts once everything was in place, future travels, and the larger home we would eventually own. She had always talked about how much she loved the red rocks and serene atmosphere up in Sedona, so I had everything planned out and was really considering popping the question once the business took off. I had even begun to look at engagement rings informally, considering what kind she would prefer and what I might afford while still keeping my company's savings targets in mind. But now that I look back, I realize that I totally disregarded several warning signs since I was so preoccupied with securing our future together. For example, she would always recommend dividing restaurant bills evenly, even when she chose the priciest menu items, appetizers, premium entrees, dessert, etc., while I ordered simpler meals to keep costs down. When I brought up the price discrepancy, she would say things like, "We're a team, and it all evens out eventually," but somehow it never did. She would also frequently comment on how my truck was too functional and not fashionable enough. I had a fully paid-off 2019 Ford F-150 that was ideal for transporting tools and electrical equipment, dependable as daybreak, and, most importantly, did not cost me more than $400 a month in payments. However, Sarah would joke that it was too blue-collar or advise me to purchase a more professional vehicle, such as a sports car or luxury SUV. We would hang out with my friends from Desert Sun Electric, and those were the truly telling moments. All of these individuals were well-paid expert craftsmen. My best friend Dave was earning around $80,000 from his employment as a commercial electrician. Additionally, Rick was earning even more money as a specialist in upscale home installs. However, Sarah would become a strange interrogator whenever we all got together, asking in-depth questions about their pay, side jobs, home types, and truck prices, not in a typical, inquisitive manner, but more as if she was mentally figuring out their net worth. She looked at my friend Dave like a walking calculator. He joked. To be honest, he was not mistaken. However, I assumed she was only driven and seeking financial stability. Hell, I also desired that. The distinction was that, rather than merely wishing for it, I was prepared to put in the necessary effort. Every day, she would spend hours scrolling through Instagram, following hundreds of profiles belonging to entrepreneurs and lifestyle influencers. Posts from people who said they had figured out the secret to fast money were all over her Explore page. I keep seeing screenshots from a 25-year-old in Miami who posts images of rented Lamborghinis and phony Rolex watches with captions about having financial independence before the age of 30 and passive income streams. She would become enraged by these articles about our modest lifestyle and begin to doubt every aspect of our financial strategy. I would attempt to clarify that the majority of those accounts were either trust fund children misusing their fathers, money, or outright fraudsters doing complex schemes, but she would become defensive and accuse me of being unimaginative. She would say things like, "You have to invest in yourself to build real wealth, and successful people think differently." Our home situation became a continual cause of conflict. For what we needed, the location was actually rather pleasant. 1,400 square feet, 2 complete bathrooms, a modern kitchen with granite countertops, a pleasant neighborhood with low crime rates, and good schools close by. With taxes and insurance included, the monthly mortgage payment was a meager $1,200, giving us ample funds for investments and savings. However, Sarah was often complaining that it was too small and unimpressive for our age group. She would send me ads for $350,000 homes with 3-car garages and swimming pools after spending hours on Zillow looking at homes we could never afford. Then she would reply, "I was trying to save $30,000 a year for the business launch, and we could definitely handle this when our combined income was maybe $110,000 before taxes." I would attempt to explain the figures, stating that we would require a larger down payment, that I needed to start my firm with minimal expenses, and that purchasing an excessive amount of real estate would jeopardize our long-term wealth accumulation. My first indication that she didn't genuinely understand or support my aspirations should have been when she would simply roll her eyes and ask, "Other people our age are buying nice houses. Why can't we?" She desired the way of life, but didn't want to put in the effort to achieve it. When Sarah learned about the entire world of financial influencers on social media in November, things took a turn for the worst. Furthermore, I'm not referring to respectable business or financial advisors. I'm referring to these real estate experts and cryptocurrency traders who claimed that their proprietary systems might help you earn millions of dollars. She began using her phone even more, tracking accounts at Real Estate Riches and Crypto King Phoenix, among others. I keep seeing posts about 25-year-olds who allegedly made $400,000 last year by trading cryptocurrencies or flipping houses. She would become upset and accuse me of being narrow-minded and jealous when I pointed out that these posts were clearly phony or cherry-picked success tales. She then began going to these local networking events. I initially believed it would help her career. Isn't networking important? However, rather than true marketing experts, she would return home with business cards from mentors in cryptocurrency trading and real estate investing. The conversations quickly became bizarre. I would attempt to explain basic investment principles, diversification, risk management, and the importance of having a stable income before taking big risks. but she would simply respond that I was being too conservative and that wealthy people have different perspectives. She would ask questions like, "Why are we wasting money on your savings account when we could be investing in cryptocurrency?" Or, "Why don't we buy a rental property and become landlords?" She virtually bounced with joy when she returned home from a real estate seminar one evening. A man by the name of Derek had spoken on house flipping and using strategic real estate acquisition to generate passive income. She kept boasting about how young and successful he was, how, at the age of 30, he owned 4 rental properties, how he drove a BMW X5, and how he attended these gatherings wearing pricey clothes. She said, "Mike, you should have seen this guy's presentation," as she sat on our couch and compulsively browsed through his Instagram account. "Take a look at this. At the age of 26, he used a method known as creative finance to purchase his first duplex." I looked at his Instagram and saw red flags everywhere right away. This Derek guy posted about his real estate empire all the time, but he never provided actual property addresses, detailed financial statements, or verifiable details about his purported success. He renovated it himself using YouTube tutorials and contractor connections, and now it generates $800 monthly cash flow after all expenses. Why haven't we thought of this approach? The posts were classic marketing manipulation, a lot of lifestyle shots meant to arouse envy and aspiration, along with ambiguous claims about financial freedom and passive income. A lot of carefully staged photos featuring expensive cars that could easily be rented, generic motivational quotes lifted from other accounts, and pictures of him at these seminars selling expensive courses to desperate people seeking quick fixes. His captions were full of buzzwords like leverage, cash flow, and wealth building, but never really included any real content about market analysis or real estate investing strategies. I remarked, "Successful real estate investors don't need to sell courses on Instagram. Sarah, this feels like a scam to me. Their properties generate revenue for them. He's offering personal coaching sessions for people who are serious about building wealth. It's only $3,500 for a 6-month program where he teaches you his exact system." But she got defensive right away. "You're so negative, Mike." Derek says that limiting beliefs are what keep people poor, and successful people invest in education and mentorship. That's when she dropped the bomb. "God, Mike, you're so stuck in your employee mindset." Derek says, "Entrepreneurs understand that you have to invest in yourself before you can build real wealth." I almost choked, Sarah. That's literally a scam. No legitimate investor charges $3,500 to teach their system. They just use that money to buy more properties themselves. She rolled her eyes. The ensuing dispute was likely the worst we have ever had. I attempted to clarify that throwing $3,500 at some Instagram guru would put us back months because we had financial objectives and I was saving for my business. She accused me of managing her finances and failing to encourage her aspirations. "Maybe I want to build wealth faster than your slow, boring plan," she replied. "That hurt since I was working extra hours and saving every last cent to create a true life for us both. Maybe I don't want to wait until I'm 35 to start living." However, it seems that she had grown bored with my timeline. When Sarah learned about the entire cryptocurrency trading scene in Phoenix through Facebook groups and meetup events in December, things became even worse. Of course, she developed a new fascination with one particular person. According to reports, Brandon, 29, made $250,000 last year trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins that the majority of people were unaware of. At least on the surface, Brandon was everything Sarah appeared to care about most that I wasn't. This person was posting Instagram stories from upscale restaurants at 2 p.m. while I was working honest 50-hour weeks doing electrical installations and organizing the launch of my firm on the weekends. On sporadic weekdays, flaunting his purported collection of Rolex watches and taking photographs with his Porsche 911, which oddly appeared to be a rental. Crypto trader, real estate investor, and financial freedom coach with a link to his exclusive Discord community where he shared insider trading signals for $150 per month, read his bio. The entirety of the setup was typical online scammer fare, but Sarah was captivated by the lifestyle presentation, with his posts carefully crafted to appeal to young professionals like her who felt stuck in traditional jobs and were searching for some magical shortcut to wealth and status. Sarah met him in a hip downtown restaurant called Copper Blues for a crypto meetup. And she was exhausted when she got home that evening, chatting endlessly about this incredible experience. Brandon is someone you really must meet, Mike. Even though he is just a year older than you, he has already reached full financial independence. He even used his phone to show me his trading account. In the last month alone, he made $52,000. Do you think that's possible? I was skeptical right away. Sarah, anyone can fabricate screenshots, and even if they are authentic, it's a standard fraudster tactic to highlight your best month while concealing your losses. She didn't hear it, though. Why are you so pessimistic all the time? According to Brandon, the majority of people remain impoverished because they are hesitant to take chances and lack knowledge about new technologies. Sarah developed an obsession with Brandon and his entire team of cryptocurrency traders over the course of the following few weeks. She would spend hours studying market psychology and technical analysis in his online community. Began using words they didn't really comprehend, like going to the moon and diamond hands. Seeing her attempt to explain blockchain technology when she hardly knew how her retirement account operated was, to be honest, embarrassing. The worst thing was that she began to view me differently, as if I were a dull failure since I had a regular job and saved money in conventional accounts. She would say things like, "Perhaps you should learn about cryptocurrency instead of wasting time on your electrical business idea." Or Brandon says people with employee mindsets never build real wealth. I was furious at that final remark. My electrical company proposal was a well-thought-out strategy that included financial estimates, market research, and a list of potential clients. I had been working on the launch preparations and idea validation for months. However, it was reportedly useless in comparison to Brandon's get-rich-quick schemes because it wasn't yet profitable. Sarah then began requesting loans in order to make Bitcoin investments. The first investment to begin trading was $600. Then, an additional $1,200 since Brandon had given his inner circle access to a special opportunity. She accused me of being domineering and not believing in her when I refused. According to her, several girlfriends receive assistance from their partners. Ashley, Brandon's girlfriend, has complete control over her investments since he believes in her judgment. Later, I learned that Ashley, a 23-year-old waitress who had completely depleted her bank account by following Brandon's trading indications, was actually his newest hire. However, Sarah portrayed her at the time as a model of sorts for supporting partners. The tipping point was when I saw Sarah purchasing cryptocurrencies that Brandon had advertised in his neighborhood with our utility money. She didn't even appear embarrassed when I challenged her about it. "Mike, it's just $400. According to Brandon, this coin may rise tenfold over the course of the upcoming month. That's the money from our electric bill, Sarah." Additionally, Brandon makes a lot of untrue statements. She simply gazed at me with a look of disdain. "What? Do you know? I'm sick of having someone who fears success hold me back. Those who think small and associate with others who think small are the reasons why poor people remain poor," Brandon adds. I recognized then that she was no longer solely focused on making money. She was drawn to the way of life, the appearance, and the sense of uniqueness. And she was getting exactly what she wanted to hear from Brandon. It ended on a late January Friday night. Sarah had gone to a crypto networking event at this fancy restaurant downtown while I was working late on business planning, attempting to finalize my equipment list and supplier contracts. She had started going to more and more of these events. And each time she returned home, she had anecdotes about prosperous traders and investors she had encountered. Approximately 11 p.m., I received a text message that chilled me to the bone. "I have a choice, Mike. Tonight, I'll be staying at Brandon's house. Tomorrow, we must discuss our relationship. I believe our goals in life are varied." I tried calling her right away, but the call went straight to voicemail. Tried once more. The same thing. After telling me she was cheating, she essentially shut off her phone. That night, I slept very little, oscillating between incredulity and rage. She couldn't really be throwing away her 3 years of marriage for a cryptocurrency trader she had only known for 2 months, I kept thinking. However, she and Brandon arrived at our place the following morning. Yes, she took him over to our house. As Sarah packed her belongings, this man, dressed in high-end clothing and footwear, entered my home and pretended to be the owner. "Don't be hurt, dude," Brandon said as she relaxed on my couch and Sarah gathered her things. "You know, Sometimes people simply develop in different ways. Sarah needs someone who can match her energy level since she's eager to take her life to the next level. Though I'm not that kind of person, I wanted to kick him out. Rather, I merely observed Sarah packing her belongings as this idiot described how they would work together to create an empire through real estate, investing, and cryptocurrency trading. Sarah didn't even glance at me when she said, "Mike is a good guy. However, he is trapped in this employee mentality. He has no idea what leveraged wealth accumulation and passive income are." But I'm learning about financial independence from Brandon. It was unbelievable how disrespectful they were. She was describing me as if I didn't exist, telling this con artist why I wasn't suitable for her anymore. She was picking a cryptocurrency trader who had shown her phony trading screenshots after we had been together for 3 years and I had done everything for her. The worst thing, though, was the letter, not a handwritten note, that she left on my kitchen counter. Our 3-year relationship obviously merited the same effort as a professional email, so she typed it on her phone and printed it out. I've come to the conclusion that Mike and I have quite different ideas about what the future holds. You're happy with your methodical, plodding approach to wealth accumulation, but I want to live my life and achieve true financial independence. Brandon has demonstrated to me what is achievable if you are prepared to take significant chances and think creatively. I need to be with someone who shares my goals and is aware of contemporary wealth-building techniques. I can't waste any more time hoping that your small, safe business strategy would eventually succeed. I'm moving in with Brandon because he can provide me with the chances and lifestyle I deserve at this time. Try not to get in touch with me. I require room to concentrate on my new life and my financial objectives. I wish you luck in finding someone okay with mediocrity. I think I read that letter 15 times, Sarah. Every statement is like a slap across the face. The aloofness, the arrogance, the way she implied that I was the issue because I was financially responsible. This is how, after 3 years of dating, she perceived me as content with mediocrity. But what do you know? Additionally, reading that letter fueled my passion. I was going to show Sarah exactly what she had walked away from if she wanted to know what true success looked like. Following Sarah's departure, the first several weeks were terrible. I'm not going to lie. When I went to the grocery, I would automatically check to see if she wanted anything or make dinner for two. She had chosen some charlatan above everything. We'd achieved together, and the house felt empty with her belongings gone from the bathroom and bedroom. But rather than moping, I made the decision to use all of my hurt and rage to disprove her. If she felt that my method was too slow and uninteresting, I would demonstrate to her what true commitment and diligence might achieve. I started by investing the $8,000 I had intended to spend on an engagement ring entirely in my company. I paid for premium liability insurance, modified my work truck with professional equipment racks, and purchased better tools. I was going to transform my electrical business into something that would make Brandon's fictitious cryptocurrency gains seem like pennies, despite Sarah's description of it as a safe little scheme. I started working like a man possessed, putting in more than 60 hours a week. Day employment at Desert Sun Electric, followed by 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. business development and marketing each and every evening. Building my clientele, doing my first independent electrical projects, and forming connections with suppliers and other contractors took up all of my weekends. I kept getting invitations from my friends to go out to eat or watch games. However, I was completely focused on creating something that would produce genuine, long-term revenue for many years to come. Although extremely satisfying, the effort was exhausting. Every completed project, happy client, and recommendation felt like evidence that my strategy was effective. I was constructing something physical and real, helping real people with real problems, and adding real value to the market. In the meantime, Sarah's Instagram turned into a constant display of phony lifestyle posts and manufactured luxury, including pictures of her and Brandon dining at pricey establishments like New and the Capitol Grill, posing with his Porsche in various picturesque Phoenix settings while sporting fancy clothing with prominent branding. Each and every post was meticulously planned to showcase this incredible lifestyle that she had chosen over our allegedly dull relationship. Her captions got more and more annoying. For instance, "I'm grateful to those who truly understand ambition, achievement, and accumulating riches through wise investments and financial knowledge, and I'm finally living the life I deserve." The pictures showed them at high-end hotels in Scottsdale, VIP gatherings, and what appeared to be extravagant shopping trips at Fashion Square and Biltmore. Here's the problem, though. I have a hands-on understanding of how things are truly constructed and maintained. I am aware of the distinction between ostentatious presentation and genuine value. I thus conducted some basic investigation on Brandon's background and business claims, while Sarah posted meticulously chosen photos of his alleged success. He had been employed at a call center until 8 months prior, according to a brief search. One rental property, which was actually his parents' home, formed the foundation of his real estate business and his success in trading. It turned out that he had lost $12,000 of his own funds before switching to selling signals and courses to others. Living off the money he earned from selling dreams to desperate individuals, the man was a total scammer. However, Sarah was so enamored with the way of life that she failed to notice the clear warning signs. I was actually moving forward while she was playing house with a scammer. Within 2 weeks of starting my electrical contracting business in March, I had my first significant client. For their rental properties, a property management business required dependable electrical work. I had a full weekend schedule by May and had begun taking time off to work on bigger projects. By August, I was making $8,000 a month from my side business. I left my day job at that point and became a full-time entrepreneur. I was earning more money than Sarah and I had ever made together within 6 months of her leaving me. Additionally, it was expanding each month. Real money, not a get-rich-quick scheme from actual consumers paying for actual electrical services. However, the affirmation was more valuable than the money. While Sarah was out pursuing her crypto fantasies, I had been planning for hours. She said that all of that planning and saving was too sluggish. In fact, it was functioning. I was creating something long-lasting that would bring in money for many years to come. Not until the scheme collapsed or the market crashed. My clientele grew quickly as a result of recommendations. Homeowners, general contractors, and property managers all desired to work with an electrician who was reliable, completed high-quality work, and charged reasonable rates. In October, I hired my first worker, and by Christmas, I had 2 more men on board. By the year after our split, I was earning $35,000 a month from my electrical contracting firm. In addition to moving into a much nicer home and purchasing a second work truck, I was also receiving calls from commercial clients regarding significant projects. Now, Sarah's dull and plodding ex-boyfriend was in charge of a respectable company that was expanding more quickly than 95% of small businesses. And the subsequent events were timed like a work of poetry. About 18 months after Sarah left me, there was a significant drop in Bitcoin. I'm talking about a 75% decline in all cases. Complete disruption of the market. Overnight, the value of all the coins Brandon had been pushing to his community followers vanished. For those who were stupid enough to follow his indications, the promised enormous gains became complete losses. However, that was only the start. It turns out that the Arizona Securities Commission was interested in Brandon's small business. He had been under investigation for months on allegations of securities fraud, operating a pyramid scheme through his coaching programs and online community, and operating an unauthorized investment firm. My friend Dave, who works in construction and has contacts with regulatory bodies, told me about the probe. Remember the cryptocurrency guy your ex left you for, dude? The state is about to destroy him utterly. They have proof that he has been stealing money for phony investing advice and operating pump and dump operations. The arrest took place early on a Wednesday. Because Brandon had gained some notoriety in Phoenix's crypto sector, local news outlets covered it. To be honest, one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life was witnessing him get arrested outside his apartment complex. But when the entire extent of his schemes was revealed, the real fun began. Brandon has been offering more than just poor trading advice. He has been outright robbing others of their money. He was offering phony, unique investment opportunities. He made up his income via rental properties. His credit was so bad that even the Porsche was leased in his father's name. The state discovered proof that he had used a variety of tactics to steal more than $350,000 from victims. He had given Sarah fictitious screenshots of his cryptocurrency trading earnings, which were produced using picture editing software. The individual was subsisting on money pilfered from needy individuals who thought his Instagram lifestyle was authentic. Sarah had been right there the entire time, using her social media to assist him in finding new victims. His fraud enterprise was effectively promoted by every glitzy post she had made. Even though she was unaware of the specifics, she would undoubtedly suffer some repercussions. Sarah's Instagram account went private a week after Brandon was arrested. Then it was gone completely. According to common friends, she had returned to living with her parents and was discussing possible charges with attorneys. Messages from folks who remembered that Brandon was the man Sarah had left me for began to buzz through my phone. Did you hear about that cryptocurrency scammer in the news, dude? That was your ex's new guy, right? I wasn't petty enough to brag in public, though. All I did was concentrate on my firm, which was now generating $50,000 a month. While Sarah was coping with attorneys and possible criminal charges, I was drawing interest from bigger electrical contractors who wanted to collaborate with me. Deals I was negotiating may change my life. Despite its warped sense of humor, the cosmos occasionally administers justice in the most exquisite manner. My assistant buzzed me 2 months after Brandon's imprisonment while I was working on a bid for a significant commercial project in my new office. There is a visitor without an appointment who claims it's personal and urgent. I noticed Sarah standing in my doorway when I looked up from my desk. However, she was not the self-assured gold digger who had left my life 2 years prior with a smug attitude and a printed note. This version had a poor appearance, hair that had not been washed or styled for weeks. She was wearing old clothes I remembered from our time together, and there were dark circles under her eyes that gave the impression that she had been crying nonstop. She appeared to have gone weeks without eating a satisfying meal or getting enough sleep. To be honest, the change was startling. She no longer lived the glossy lifestyle of a social media influencer. It was obvious that this person had experienced complete destruction and was struggling to keep herself together. "Mike," she murmured, her voice trembling with fatigue and despair. "You are the only person I know who might be able to assist. And even though I know I have no business being here after what I did to you, I'm desperate and have nowhere else to turn." Using the same formal tone I applied to all of my business clients, I pointed to the chair across from my desk. She required professional assistance regardless of our personal problems because she was obviously in need and may face severe legal repercussions despite our complex past and the way she had treated me. To be honest, the story that poured out of her was far superior to anything I could have dreamed up in my most fervent fantasies of getting even. As proceeds of criminal conduct, the federal authorities had confiscated all of Brandon's possessions, including the opulent flat Sarah had been renting for nearly 2 years. They were looking into her as a possible collaborator and co-conspirator in Brandon's numerous fraud schemes since her name and likeness were extensively included in some of his marketing materials and social media promotions. She was facing potential criminal charges for aiding Brandon's scams, and her family had essentially disowned her due to the humiliation. She sobbed, "They're saying I might go to prison. My lawyer claims that because I assisted Brandon in recruiting victims via my Instagram, the prosecution is considering conspiracy charges, but I can assure you that I had no idea what he was actually doing." But hold on, things get better. It came out that Brandon's methods had cost Sarah her personal money as well. Right before things fell apart, she had persuaded her parents to give her an $18,000 loan so she could invest with Brandon. She assured them that the opportunity was guaranteed and that they would receive their money back plus significant profits in just 6 months. That money was gone, lost in Brandon's maze of fictitious investments and lifestyle expenditures. Her parents had severed all financial support because they were so incensed over being misled and coerced. She was attempting to keep up the lifestyle Brandon had promised her, but she was broke and heavily indebted to credit cards. She went on, her voice growing shakier by the second. "All the legal drama and media attention caused me to lose my job at Trendy Digital. According to my employer, the agency's reputation suffered when someone was the subject of a federal inquiry. I'm currently sleeping in parking lots, taking showers with gym memberships, and practically living in my car. Nowhere can I afford to rent. I can't afford a good lawyer who could help me avoid going to jail, and I am unsure about my next course of action. My credit has been ruined. I can't talk to my relatives. Everyone also believes that I am a criminal." Her voice spoke genuine desperation. This was neither a manipulation nor a performance. She was truly afraid of losing everything and being sent to prison. The woman who had abandoned me due to my lack of achievement was now pleading for assistance from the same someone she had labeled uninteresting and mediocre only 2 years prior. Before I spoke, I waited for her to finish the entire sob story. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, Sarah, but I'm not sure how I can support you. She then disclosed the true purpose of her visit. You're successful now, Mike. Everyone is aware of how well your electrical company is performing. You may give me a loan to help me get back on my feet, or even help me pay for a better lawyer. We care about each other, don't we? I know I wounded you. The sheer chutzpah was astounding. After spending 2 years sharing images of her fantastic new life and leaving me with a printed letter that called me mediocre, this woman now wants me to save her from the repercussions of her own decisions. I leaned back in my seat and said, You know what's interesting, Sarah? 2 years ago, you told me my approach to building wealth was too slow and boring. You said I was satisfied with mediocrity and that you needed someone who understood modern wealth-building strategies. Her face turned scarlet. I was mistaken, Mike. Now I see that. But do you? Because you seem to be pleading with me to save you. You need money, and I'm the only person you know who has any, not because you've learned anything. She began to sob. More. Please, Mike, I'll do anything, she said. I'm pleading with you for assistance, even though I know I was awful to you. I cannot be imprisoned. She looked up at me with desperate eyes, and I realized now that I made a huge mistake by leaving you for Brandon. Sarah, let me tell you what real success looks like. Real success is building something valuable that generates sustainable income. Real success is having enough money saved that you can weather any storm. Real success is surrounding yourself with people who support your goals instead of chasing whatever looks shiny on Instagram. I got up and walked around my desk. Maybe, now that I know what true success looks like, we could start over. No, I cut her off. What you left me for, Brandon, was easy money, instant gratification, and a lifestyle you didn't earn. The fact that Brandon was a scammer doesn't change who you are as a person. I walked to my office door and opened it. I hope you get good legal counsel and everything works out for you. But I built this business and this life specifically to never have to rely on anyone else or save those who made poor decisions. That includes you. She sat there for another minute, probably hoping I would change my mind, and then she got up and walked toward the door, saying, Mike, please. I have nowhere else to go. You should have thought about that before you decided my life wasn't exciting enough for you. As she left my office that day, I felt a tremendous sense of closure, not because I liked watching her suffer, but because I realized how far I'd come. The electrician she had left for a cryptocurrency scammer was now operating a business valued at over $1.8 million, and the guy with the employee mindset was now financially independent at